Indonesian society?
Yes, but that doesn't mean that it's a burden. The era of the Dutch here is, of course, an era that that really had terrible episodes with killings, with suppression, with occupation, and with mass murders. Right? We have acknowledged that, and Indonesia has accepted our apologies. Indonesians at the moment are rediscovering that past, and they're revaluing that. They are really fond of the Netherlands for what they have done. They say sometimes to me, if it weren't for the Dutch, we would not have existed as one nation. We would have probably been different, 5, 10, 20 different states. Mm-hmm. So it was the Dutch that brought everyone under one umbrella, and also introduced one language, at least decided that one of the many languages that's spoken here would be the language of the Netherlands Indies, and that is now Bahasa Indonesia. So for many reasons, Indonesians are no longer holding a grudge against the Netherlands. They think, we have a connected history, and we should see that as an asset rather than as a liability. And that is a great way of looking at this.
Can we also say that the generations who are now alive, they have maybe a bit of a DNA for the centuries ago, but we cannot change anything about our past. We have actually nothing to do with our past.
I think everyone has a past, and everyone should be aware of it. But what you see here is that they look forward and are very optimistic about the future. Maybe much more than when in the Netherlands we look at the future. We look at it with at the moment quite some pessimism in the Netherlands because of everything that's going on in the world. Here they're much more easygoing. They see that the economy is growing, that their lives are better than those of their parents, and they also are pretty sure that the lives of their children will be even better than theirs. So it's really in that vein.
It's very optimistic.
It's very optimistic, and for them history is not something that they should dwell on for too long. But they do see, for instance, that all the heritage buildings from the colonial times here, like 10, 20 years ago, most of these buildings were being torn down and new buildings would be put in there. But everything that's still left there, and believe me, it's a lot, right? Hundreds and hundreds of buildings only in Jakarta, but then all over the country. And now they are renovating them. They're turning them into cafes or small shops or museums or you name it. Yeah. It's become hip to be associated with the Dutch past. Yeah. And then on top of that, there's the football. So that is really on a very fertile ground, so to say.
I hope this is a very positive contribution to being optimistic and staying optimistic. Okay, number 7. Living in Indonesia is much more relaxed than living in the Netherlands.
Yes, because you want me to say yes or no. It's of course I live here in a bubble, right? In Jakarta is already much more wealthy than the rest of Indonesia, and with I would say. Working for the embassy also helps. Doors are opened and people are very, very friendly when they hear you're from the Netherlands. But also, what I really notice, Indonesians are easygoing and they're not so much about planning. So it depends a bit. If you really like a very structured life and if you really want predictability, then probably the Netherlands is more relaxed than Indonesia, right? Because then you know what to expect. But if you're more like, let's go with the flow, let's see what's happening today. Every day is a new adventure, and circumstances are what they are, and we take that for granted. Then Indonesia is a very good place to be. There is a lot of traffic in Jakarta, for instance, right?
So I noticed.
And what I really, I mean, of course, nobody likes that. But what I do appreciate is that there's no aggression in traffic. So people are sometimes honking, but simply to say, I'm behind you, or I'm overtaking, or thank you, or, that kind of honking. And no honking like, get out of here and stick to the rules, that kind of aggression, microaggression maybe, that I notice is the case in the Netherlands very often.
But I think the traffic could be a metaphor for the behavior, because in Holland it's directly blaming each other, and this is not only in traffic, it's also a metaphor for society and the way we live our lives, because it's a bit hasty in Holland, but Dutch people are always pretty good organized. So in the daily rush, you don't really feel that haste. It's pretty normal for everybody. But if you come abroad, like I do at this moment, then you can feel the difference. And being in time, for instance, is for us very normal. But nobody panics if you are 5 minutes late here. And in our profession, it's not very good to come late. Even 5 seconds is very long in a football game, for instance. But the relaxedness, if that is an English word, is something that I would like to inherit.
Yeah, it's the acceptance of how things go, being okay with that, right? And not always trying to correct others or to say this is how it should go, etc. No, just let it happen, and that I would say attitude in life is we can learn a lot from that.
I've had that with many other cultures as well. It's not only accepting, it's respecting another culture, and not only the differences, but also looking for things that are very similar as in ours. And if you have respect for that, then you can connect and combine opinions, behavior, etc., etc. And it is very nice to learn. Okay, 8. This is a very sharp one. Freedom is a greater asset than health. I remind you,
Yes.
The answer has to be yes or no.
Okay, the answer would be yes. I think freedom is the basis for everything. You can it's hard maybe, but you can enjoy life when you're free and not 100% healthy. The other way around is difficult. If you're healthy but not free, this is really a very, I would say, undesired situation. I always think of Nelson Mandela, for instance, and his mind was free all the time, also when he was in prison. But it's about freedom and about freedom of mind, but also, of course, freedom for a country. Indonesia celebrating 80 years of freedom, and even though they have had hardships, and still there is poverty in this country, and there is a lot going on, but they are free and independent, and that is what makes them where they are now, but also that gives them this great future, and that hopefully also leads them to better health, so to say, in a general sense for the population.
And this is a very satisfying and inspiring answer, because it's not, the propositions are not to oppose things, but more to give it extra attention. And I would say our generation, people are between 50 and 60, we in Holland, this is no discussion. We don't know what it is to be even like 5 minutes without freedom. And the older I get, the more I appreciate the freedom we have in Holland, and the more thankful I am and grateful I am to live a free life. Okay, number 9. I lead by a firm hand.
Yes, that's at least what I try to do. I noticed that if you are responsible for a team, it's, and of course you try to be, as inclusive as possible and as easy going for everyone, to make sure everyone is contributing and is really able to give his or her best. But what I noticed is you need to be very clear about where you want to go, where you want the team to go together, where we want to be in the next few weeks or months, etc. So giving purpose and direction is really something you need. In the Netherlands, we are very much focused on level playing field and making sure everyone is the same, no hierarchy, etc. I've learned over the years, sometimes hierarchy is good because it gives structure and it gives people, I would say, clarity on in what way they can contribute towards the common goal. And they should be able to say what they want, and they should be able to also have, I would say, a say in establishing the goal, but making sure that when it comes to when the pressure is on, in the end you can't blame someone who is performing his or her tasks that he or she was asked to do, right? I think you can compare this to football, right? In the end, it's Patrick Kluivert who will have to account for the success, but also for maybe results that are not as desired. So so he needs to be able to really set the course and lead with a firm hand. And of course, I'm no Patrick Kluivert whatsoever, but I try to do that as well.
Yeah, this is why I wanted you to be my guest, because I'm looking for people who are in a leading position, being responsible for the things you do, and doing that in an open structure. So in football, in your diplomatic life, a president, you do your work by leading on one hand, and the other hand is that everybody looks over your shoulder to see and to control what you do.
Yeah. And
actually every other profession than football coach is easier, because there is no stronger opinion about, diverse opinion about football than any other profession. So.
Yeah. Now, what I said earlier, the team, the coaches have been under a lot of pressure here, right? The whole country, 280 million people, plus lots of others around the world were watching. Is this going to work? This, I would say, with timnas, with a lot of people who have a Dutch background, which is quite different from what the team looked like only a couple of years ago. Is the experiment going to work?
Yeah.
So you have to